Well, hello, everyone, Unlimited Wisdom family. I love and appreciate you very, very much, and really sad, excited to see you guys. Sarah, Scott, Melody, Shelley, Deborah Bronner, your video was really amazing. I'm so proud of you. Dustin, Deborah Grady, of course, Coach Bob Matthew. Say some nice prayers for my lovely wife, Terry. She's still not feeling well. And of course, CJ, the hostess with the mostest. So today's subject, you guys are going to really love this one. It's look for the light. Look for the light. I've talked about this a little bit. My son shared a documentary with my wife and I. We watched it yesterday, and Matt Craig will go ahead and post it. But Matt, I'll let you say the name. That's
Yeah,
Simon.
I'll have to go look it up because like the name is like a long name. Let me
Craig,
see.
Craig, you can give it a shot. It's
Yeah,
in the title.
Craig reads scripts, so he's better
Yeah,
at it than me.
it was the AI doc, and Matt, you posted that a lot earlier.
Definitely
The
wouldn't have
AI
remembered
doc,
that. I'm just kidding.
or
That's funny.
how I
Yeah,
became an apocalyptimist. I love that word.
right.
Just trying to say that one 5 times. Apocalyptimist.
Apocalyptivist. All right.
Yeah.
And
So
so Matt made a post about this, and Craig will post it so you guys can watch it. I really think it's a very unique way, a very unique way to be able to look at anything. I just love where, without giving it away, it's a guy that had just quite a bit of anxiety because of not only hearing that the AI was going to destroy the world, but on top of that, he got married and his wife was pregnant and they were about ready to have a kid. So it was funny how he was actually getting his questions down to asking a certain group of people, um, would you ever have kids? And there was actually half of them said no, they weren't going to have kids. And one said if you had a kid, they wouldn't see high school. And so then you find a whole nother group of people. And what I loved about it, I was telling mom, and I'm a little biased sometimes, but I love the people that were optimistic because they were all billionaires. These other guys were not billionaires, and then these other guys that are billionaires are like, "Oh my God, this is the best time in life to live." You know what I mean? It's like all the optimism. But the
Yeah, what
reason
was
I
that one
wanted
line?
to,
I'll share this one line before you go because it
yeah,
like
go
really hit
ahead.
me. The one that I shared in a chat with you guys. Let me see, what was
The
it?
only the only thing that's more
Oh,
excited about today is tomorrow.
that was it. Yeah, that's perfect. The only thing more exciting than today is tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you,
So
Matt.
that's
And
yeah,
Matt, thanks
love
for
that.
sharing it with me.
I still haven't
And
watched it yet. I have to watch it tonight. So
oh yeah, it's really good.
awesome.
But the reason that I wanted to bring up is look for the light or search for the light is you always got these people that they either see the sunny side of things or they don't. And one of the things I think that's very unique is for some of you that may be sports fans or not sports fans is the big deal happened with the and me. I'm one of the guys that tuned out. You know what I mean? I was watching something with Terry and we were going back and forth. And I thought, man, if it was a competitive game, I'd scroll over and Terry, of course, would let me watch it. But there was like, I think like 4 minutes left in the game. And the whole entire game, the San Antonio Spurs were anywhere between 24 to 30 points ahead the whole entire time. I mean, even at the beginning, right? And so I all of a sudden, I see all the changes on the internet and everything was going crazy because they pulled off the there's never been a team down 29 points in a final game that came back and won it. And they were already at 2 games. Hi, Ben. Nice to see you on here. Thanks for getting on. Hi, Mary. Hi, Scott. And the reason that I bring it up is because this team pulled it off, and of course, everyone's just going bananas. And they talked to one of the guys afterwards, and they were going like, that's never happened before. That's absolutely never happened before. And they're going like, they were calling it the miracle at Madison Square Garden. And it's funny, you get pinned down, and one of the players for the Knicks basically said, he goes, what happened? That guy was just going, what happened there? And he goes, we all looked at each other in the face and we all believed. Because when stuff like that happens, it's like people want us to explain what happened. And there is no explanation for it. He says, we just don't have any quit. We could have easily just gave it up. And for those of you that are not sporting fans or sporting fans, you can go online either on YouTube or X or Facebook and watch the last 4 minutes of the game. I think 3 minutes and 60, and to watch that team rally and do that. Hi, Corky. Thanks for jumping on here. Hi, Jim. And one of the things I loved what one of the guys said is one of the guys said, the reason that sports unites people, whether they like the sport or not, is it just brings out the human potential. You just see the human being go to a whole different level than what they seen before. And that's like in world records and everything. Well, I don't know if you guys can sort of feel it in the air, because how many of you would agree I'm sort of optimistic? You know what I mean? And I don't know if you guys know that Elon Musk is right now, the last time I looked, he was worth $1.2 trillion. He's the first trillionaire. So when you see a 0.2, do you guys realize the second place person I think is worth 269 billion? So 0.2, he not only became a trillionaire, but he's almost made more money than the second place guy after that. And so really, really, really amazing. But what I was sending Matt today is there's 4,400 employees that became multimillionaires. And I've been seeing little shots of them all day because this one guy got a work visa, was from Mexico, came over here as a welder, $25 an hour, did exactly what he needed to do to get his extended green card to work, became legal, found a wife, has 3 kids, still working there. You know, the SpaceX started in 2002. You know what I mean? So what, 24 years ago? And he was one of the first employees, and now he's a multi-millionaire. And it's like, that's one of 4,400 stories. How many people would like to say, well, what do you do for a living? Well, I'm a welder. Oh, really? That seems like a tough deal. Yeah, it's not too bad. You know, got a couple $1 million in the bank. And 440 employees, you know what I mean? Their stock alone is over $100 million. So it's like, then in the midst of all this stuff happening, then all of a sudden Matt sends me a video, and it's Mr. Beast just went over 500 million subscribers on YouTube. And Matt, I don't know if you watched it at all. I just watched a little bit of it, and I didn't know that all the people that are his subscribers are constantly trolling him. So what he did is he was watching it, and it was 499 -9 8, so he needed 20 more people. And then all of a sudden the number started going backwards.
Right, yeah.
And now he's 15,000 away from hitting a half a billion. And he's going, okay, You guys know how to unsubscribe. You did this to me when I hit 250. And it was like they would get it all the way up to it, almost hit 500 million. And then they would all start unsubscribing. And then it went, so now he's 15,000 away, 18,000 away. And he's like, so he's playing games with them. And then he had this funny part where he went, now listen, if you guys think I'm going to stick around all day and let you guys play with me the way you did before on 250, he says, you got something, you're wrong. And all of a sudden he heard a bunch of voices in the background and they're all laughing. And he turned and looked at him and he went, yeah, I don't think anybody bought it either. It's like, of course I'll stay here all day. I don't care how long it takes. And it was like, you seen him as soon as he did this, he went, well, we're all here. Do you guys have any questions you would like to ask me? I guess we'll just start answering questions because he says, I have no deal. So what's the first question? And then all of a sudden, everybody started subscribing again, and he went over, 500,000. But it was like when he wasn't watching it.
500 million.
500 million. Yeah, and when all of a sudden he stopped watching it and said, screw it, I'm just going to answer questions and help people out. And when he hit it, the thing that I love that he said is he said, normally I do a speech or something, but let me just tell you, he goes, the number one question I keep getting asked all the time is, what does it take to get here? He says, I'm not supposed to be here. So when people ask me what's the difference between me and somebody else, is I just thank God that I fell in love with something that I would do all day, every day at the age of 11. So find something that excites you that you do each and every day, and you would do it for no money. So how many times over the years have we heard that, hey, what would you do without money? What would you do if it wasn't about money? So if you had all the money that you needed in the bank, what would you do? And that one story that I told you guys about the welder, right? You know what I mean? That was one of the questions they asked him. Is they said, okay, so you got 10,000 shares of stock. You've never done anything with it. Now that you're a multi-millionaire, what do you plan on doing tomorrow? And he's going, I'm showing up for work. I got some rockets to put together. And I think a lot of people would go, I never even thought about that till right now, man. If all of a sudden you had 4,400 of your best employees all of a sudden all become multimillionaires overnight, how many of them show up on Monday?
Yeah, like the thing that always happens is it's like it's the age old thing. Is like, what's cooler, $1 billion. So like if you're interested in just being done with life and comfortable, then that's totally fine. But it's like the same thing that I always think. It's like, is Elon Musk gonna retire because he's a trillionaire? Like, no. You know what I mean? Like, he was on record this morning after he became a trillionaire saying none of it's gonna matter in 5 years because of AI.
Yeah.
And so it's like, he's like, I'm glad I accomplished it, but just so you guys know, it's not going to be important in 5 years.
Yeah.
What will be important in 5 years is what we're doing with SpaceX.
Yeah.
And so the interesting thing is like, I love it, what he said, because he took the opportunity to pose the question about like humanity's addiction to money and wealth. And he did this whole conversation, and instead he just used it to talk about AI and SpaceX.
Right.
He's like, no, like I'm still the same guy that made Tesla. I'm still the same dude that still has the mission of going to Mars. A T next to my name does not change that mission any different than it did when it was a B or an M or nothing, And I like that. I think that's the cool part about it. But to have a bunch of the people that work for you, like to bring them up with you is like a dream come true scenario.
Yeah.
Like including the people that really took care of like the offices and all these different kinds of things. So like you said, hearing these stories is really cool because it's like, holy shit, some people actually still do care about their employees. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? To give them stock and give them that opportunity.
One of the
So,
things that really is impressed with me, and I'm not here to toot Elon Musk's story, but there's this woman that works for him. That's like I think the CEO of SpaceX or whatever. And every time that there's some big announcement, including the largest initial public offer ever to exist in the world. And so it shows this desk at SpaceX. And when they're getting ready to make the announcement, here comes this girl that's been with him forever, And it's like, I know way too many people that have egos that if they were not only going to hit trillionaire status, but they're going to bring the largest public offering to Wall Street that's ever existed. I know some people that there's no way that Gordon Gekko would allow somebody else from the company to do that announcement. Some of the Wall Street CEOs that they talk about, it's like they would have made sure that they were the one that was there instead of allowing, somebody else that's and I can guarantee you, how did that make her feel? It's like, okay, so we set this big stage up, we're going public offering, and they're all looking at him and they're going like, are you going to address everyone? And he just like, are you kidding me? You're the CEO of the SpaceX. It's your job. You get up there and say that. Reminds me of that story of Warren Buffett. When he bought one of his companies, and he told the lady that the reason that he bought the company was because she was the CEO. She's like, well, now that you own the company, what do you want me to do? And he goes, the reason I bought the company was because of you. Can you just keep doing what you're doing? But getting back on this topic, it's like, I seen the big deal that they made out of, the first World Cup game, in Mexico. And they were talking about, they were measuring the decibel of how loud it was with 80,000 people in this stadium in Mexico City when Mexico scored the first goal of the deal. And they were saying that out in the parking lot, it just sounded like the building was coming down. And I've been very, 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 very blessed in all the traveling that I've done to actually be at a sold out soccer stadium in Peru. I was like, I'm telling you, I've been to some big, big sporting events, and you go to a rivalry soccer football game. That's what they call it, is football. You go to a rivalry game, holy cow. The energy was just like something I've never experienced. And so, that is really, really incredible. And so the last thing that I wanted to say is, again, look for the light. We can easily get caught up and things that are wrong, and why is this not going right, and why is this not working, and we're all human beings. We're just straight out human beings. Matt was saying, yesterday, thank you guys for listening to my therapy deal. But it's like, if you can't share where your head and your heart is, with a group of your family, then who can you do it with, right? And so, I thought today it's like, there's this big group of people that, there's a UFC fight that's happening on Sunday, and they're already figuring out that, it's going to be at the White House for the 250th birthday party. And it's just sad to me. It's really, really sad to me that there's a large group of people that don't want to celebrate, our 250th year as a country with all this freedom and all the stuff that we did because somebody is the president. It's like, you really, really, really got to look at yourself and go, man, I don't care, that we've made such a difference in the world. It still comes down to when we talk about the light, there's no country on the planet that gives more money to charity than the United States. We outgive everyone combined. You know what I mean? And it's such a wonderful country and it's got so much standing and stuff behind it. And for you to have someone tell you that you shouldn't enjoy it because someone else is in office is just the saddest thing that I think there is. So there's been a whole group of people that tried to sue and get the fights to stop being at the White House. And you see people that come up with some of the stupidest thing. I just want to go a little dark before I go to light again. But, Sharpton was saying, here we are at the White House, and it's like, you got people fighting each other, and it's just like bringing slavery back. And what's really, really sad is it showed 11 pictures of Donald Trump before he was president having boxing matches in Atlantic City and in New York. And who's standing next to him? Sharpton. Remember Jesse Jackson, man. Jesse Jackson, it was like, Trump used to be a Democrat. He gave these people money to run for president. And it's like, well, I don't like what's going on, so I'll switch to the other side. So telling everyone that it's awful, but then there's pictures of you enjoying a boxing match with the person that you're destroying is I wish these people would just stop throwing hate. You know what I mean? Just look at, the birthday and look for the light. Some people are going to be upset that there's going to be fireworks. Some people will enjoy the fireworks. But that's the only point that I wanted to make, because whenever you sort of get in a crazy place and you step back a little bit and you go, wow, look at all the stuff that's happening, all the people that are excited about, the World Cup. I remember one time that I forget what the amount or the number was, but the game was so big at Madison Square Garden that, listen to this, it's the first time that an NBA game has ever had that many people watch it since Michael Jordan. All right. So while everyone's saying it's BS, let's not ruin it for the people that are looking for a little bit of light where they're enjoying it. You know what I mean? If people are finally tuning into NBA because they don't know why a bunch of people are excited, or people are tuned in, there's people that I know that are really negative about football. You know what I mean? Because they just think, they'll just say stupid stuff like football's not a sport. Well, it is for all the people that don't have money. The reason that I'll never forget one time when I heard the amount of people that watched the World Cup compared to the Super Bowl. The amount of people that watch World Cup games compared to NFL football makes NFL football not look like a sport. And why is that? Well, when you go to El Salvador and Ecuador and Peru, and you go to these countries that are very, very poor, it doesn't take much people to draw a line in the dirt with their foot and get a soccer ball out there. You don't need a lot of stuff when you're playing soccer, and so to watch how it inspires people and stuff like that. So I guess the United States is playing Portugal or something, Paraguay.
Paraguay.
Yeah, and I've only watched one soccer game all the way through, and it was because I was at it. But I think that I could get caught up in a bunch of people's excitement and enthusiasm. You know what I mean? And I don't know if people know this, but also there's going to be an IndyCar race. It was like, that's going to be in downtown Washington, D.C. I don't know when that's happening, but yeah. So look for the light, look for the happy places, look for the light, look for the optimism. You know what I mean? And like I say all the time, what always keeps me really, really excited is looking for optimism in other people's stories. So you could really drill down, and there's a lot of people that probably are not very happy that the world has their first trillionaire. But the people that are saying that it's awful for him to hit that sure aren't going to mention the 4,400 people that he made multimillionaires, including people that took the right path to come to this country and work and get their visa and become legal citizens. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like,
absolutely. I feel like people, it's interesting because me and Hannah were kind of talking about this a little bit, but it's like there's that conversation that Jeff Bezos had about Amazon because everyone gives him shit for never giving his money to charity. And he said, do you realize the amount of people that get medication now on time because of Amazon on a daily basis? Do you realize? And he just kept going through all these different things that Amazon had done. And he's like, we didn't just donate money. We changed the infrastructure of how humanity worked for the better.
yeah.
And he's like, I don't know any better version of charity that exists. And I brought that up because Elon, in that same conversation I said about AI and SpaceX, said, one of my main goals now is to get satellites up and give the whole entire world free internet. Everyone will have AI at the same time, and the same kid from any country could have the same education as the kids from the best countries. They'll be able to accomplish anything they want. It'll be worldwide. And he's like, and I'll give it to everybody for free.
Yep.
And see, like, that's what I mean is like everybody goes 1.2 trillion, but then it's like, do you know how many people don't have internet? Do you know how many people lose opportunity because they can never even use AI? Right? And so this dude's getting to a place where he can give it to everybody. And that's a problem, I guess. But it always comes down to the same thing, right? It's an imaginary number. Like I said, he's trying to accomplish something massive. And so the number reflects that those accomplishments and the ones he's going for. That's what I see it as.
Yeah,
right?
I seen a post and that a lot of people don't realize that after the dust settles from this, the world's largest IPO with SpaceX, is how many of you guys know that he bought a little company called Twitter for $44 billion? Well, it's not public. And today is worth 45 billion. So he waited for it to totally go to nothing, totally rebuilt it. And now what happens if SpaceX buys X?
Well, there's going to be, that's his goal is to like take every company and merge them together.
How?
So like, XAI is already part of SpaceX. They were part of the IPO that was like super important because, he's not only selling the Starlink stuff, but he's selling, really the biggest selling point is space data centers. I know that sounds insane to even say.
Yeah.
But the biggest selling point and why he's a trillionaire is robots being built and space data centers. That number is not a reflection of profit. SpaceX has never had a profit. It's a reflection of the mission and the accomplishments, like I said, so far. And nobody has come even close. Even other billionaires, not even close. So it's got to have something to do with the guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, there was one guy.
We just saw that one rocket blew up from what's his face, right?
Yeah, Blue Origin. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Bezos.
Yeah, one thing that I seen too, and is again, I want to just stay focused on you get to make a decision on what you get to focus on. And I know I did a video quite a while ago, but I just asked everybody, how do you feel when you go into a really, really dark area that you don't know, and you're looking for the light switch, you're looking for the string? It's like basements that I grew up in, they all had a string in the middle of the room that was connected to a light deal. You're looking around looking for this, and as soon as you can turn the light on, it's like, that's a huge difference. You know what I mean? It's just so huge when you can focus on the light and look for the light and look for the positives and stuff. And more is look for the light when everyone else is looking for the darkness. You know what I mean? Just go, wow, these people are all winning. There's going to be a crazy group of people that are going to be hoping that the Spurs win tonight, and another larger group looking for the other team to win. It's so, look for exciting stories that excite you, that makes you believe and optimistic. And again, going back to that documentary that Matt shared with us, I just really loved how he did that. And Matt, I'll share this one part that I think that you're going to really love, is whenever he focused on something, which we all do as human beings, and why we shouldn't be alone. So when he first started going into the documentary and found all these negative people, right? Then he brought this stuff to his wife. And his wife just beats the shit out of him. She just
Yeah,
goes, listen, why are you listening to these people? Blah, blah,
that
blah,
would be
blah.
Hannah.
Blah, 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 blah. You need to think for yourself. And she just really gave him a bunch of grief, right? So then he does the next part of his documentary, and it's like these people are optimistic times 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, they're just like, oh my God, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. And so now he's excited, right? Because he's excited to have his child. I mean, a couple of people are just like, man, I can't imagine having your child like Ezra, that from their first point of consciousness, they're always working with something that is going to make them the best of who they are. It's just like,
Yeah.
it's just really going to be amazing. So then he shares that with his wife, and she goes the opposite way, man. It's like, hey, you can't, everything's not,
Sunshine and
rose-colored
rainbows.
glasses and blah, 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 blah. It was like, a lot of times it's the person that's closest to us is there to bring us back to neutral. So
Yeah, well,
so when we think
yeah.
everything's gonna be, the best, they bring us to neutral, and when we think everything's the worst, they bring us to neutral. So,
No, it's funny. I was like, "Hey Hannah, check this trailer out for this documentary. We should watch it." And like the very beginning of the trailer, the guy's like, "No kids are going to live to high school age." And she's like, "I don't want to watch this." She's like, "I hear enough of this shit from you for the last 5 years. I don't need this shit from this guy too."
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's the funny thing about it, is that it's like I had to immediately tell her, I'm like, no, I know this guy. Like, I've heard this shit from this guy for the last 4 years, that next year is the year it's going to kill all of us. So,
right,
like, it's no different than the same. This is how he gets there's a reason he's on the documentary. I'll just put it that way.
yeah, yeah. And so, I'm not gonna
And
give
it's
any
not for
more.
building AI.
Yeah, I'm not gonna give any more away, because it just really, really, it really makes you think when you get done watching the whole entire documentary. Which way are you gonna, you get to choose. Here's all the information. Here's what people are saying. Are you going to move forward with excitement and enthusiasm, and basically figure out how to serve mankind by allowing this to help you be that individual? Or are you going to be one of those individuals that are going to find a way to be a prepper and move off the grid?
Well, I mean, people see like billionaires doing it, and it's funny because like I was out with a group of people, and someone was like, "Did you see Mark Zuckerberg spent like all this money to build this bunker in Hawaii, right?" And I said, "How much is Mark Zuckerberg worth?" Because they're like, "Well, I think AI is going to go bad because all these guys are building bunkers, right?" And I said, "How much do you think Mark Zuckerberg's worth?" And then we look it up, and it was 100 and something billion, right, at that time. And I said, if I had that amount of money, you best believe I'm building a bunker just in case something happens.
Yeah, well, but
I'm like, I don't.
on top,
The
on
funny thing
top of
about it is it's
having,
not a.
yeah, on top of having a bunker, though,
It's a tax write-off.
they also have a $400 million yacht that sits out in the ocean. No
Right.
one ever, no one ever talks about 40 people working on a yacht that's really a moving city, in the water. I mean, that's a pretty safe place to be as
Yeah.
well.
No, imagine if you like bought that would be sick. Instead of doing that, you get like an aircraft carrier because you got so much money. Let's think we have infinite money here. You get an aircraft carrier and then you don't hire any humans. You just build a bunch of robots and have robots run everything. And then have you ever seen where like those Somali pirates show up and they have to like spray them down with water and stuff? Instead of that, it's just bullets. You know what I mean?
Oh my
But
God.
anybody starts coming towards you, you know what I mean? After an apocalyptic scenario.
Matt, move toward the light. Move toward the light.
I've been in the light. I'm pretty much almost blind.
You're slipping a little bit there.
No, no, no. I'm almost blind. So
I love you guys. Have a great
love
day.
you guys.
Yep. See you, Corky, Shelly, Mary, Scott, Melody, Deborah, Jim, Ben. Great to see you again. Michael, Angela, Sarah, Dustin, Deborah, Coach Bob, my son, incredible son, Matthew, and the hostess with the mostest, CJ, Craig Jackman. See you guys tomorrow. See you guys on Sunday.